upfront warning, I don't stop talking about the goodness of God and I weep easily. And this morning you're looking at a man whose body was basically defeated with the disease. And the sentiment when I landed at the hospital was, you're in perilous waters. But there's a man who walks on water who's carrying me through. His name is Jesus. I just want to say up front, thank you, Jesus, because I know that if you didn't get involved, if you didn't help, I actually wouldn't be standing here today yet. His name is power. His name is healing. His name is life. His word is truth. I just want to put quickly something else in place. I want to thank you guys as a church. I mustn't touch there. That, gals told me all you did. I don't want to mention names because that's always dangerous. But I saw the church in action. And a lot of you went 10 extra miles. And we do appreciate it. I brought 2 reports with. The medical report, I want to quickly tell you what it says. It says autoimmune disease, that's the heading. The name is ankylosing. It's a dread disease. It's life-threatening. It's not curable. It changes your whole life. You're going to live, because the only way to stop it is you've got to switch your immune system off. Hence all the protocols. It says at worst 12 months life expectancy, at best 5 years. In my case, the one I've got tackled the small blood vessels. Thankfully not the large, because that's your heart, your liver, etc. So as I stand here, this report says your lungs are at about 60% capacity. The top half, you have fibrosis and scarring, non-reversible. And your kidneys currently are stage 3 of stage 5 damage, and you're basically at half function. I feel great, but it's medical fact. I'm going to call that medical fact. I respect and honor the doctors. Our own Dr. Malekwa popped in every morning. He wasn't on my case. I want to thank him for the encouragement. But I call him the good doctor. You're going to meet both Dr. Sia, who looked after my lungs, and Dr. Sabella, who looked after my kidneys. They've accepted an invitation. They'll be at our show on the 20th. I want you to meet them. So just quickly, I had some symptoms, a slight cough. And Gail said to me, in month 3, which was March, I notice at night you're wheezing when you sleep. I said, it's just a little cough, and I am a bit tired, but, we're busy and we're getting older. So I went into Medicross because, it's the intelligent thing to do. They ran 8 blood tests, and one of them was your kidneys are functioning at full capacity. Your creatine level in your blood is 90. It's normal. Everything else is normal, but you've got gout. They started giving me some meds for gout, and to help with the pain, which wasn't going away, I took some anti-inflammatories, which I should never have done, because that's not good for your kidneys, because it wasn't gout. It was this villain, and that was part of it. So as I stand here this morning, lungs, kidneys, obviously the immune system, but I feel good. But the report I want to show you this morning, the one I'm dealing with, is this report. That's medical fact. This is absolute truth. Now, the reason I can confidently do that is I've cut it to the bone to honor time. I've just got to run through it. So Monday the 7th, we had the play. Some people said to me, you're looking yellow, you're looking tired. I said to God, okay, tomorrow I'll go back to Medicross and do another check. But as they told us 3 weeks ago, your creatine in your blood is normal. You're normal. Anyway, Monday afternoon, 4:30, the cough suddenly wasn't just a tickle anymore. And Gail was next door having tea, and I went through to our bathroom and I coughed. And I'm not talking about a little bit of fresh blood. I'm talking about copious amounts of tar, black. When I looked at it, I should have basically died of fright, but a supernatural peace. I just knew, I've got you. Get hold of your wife. You're going to the ER, and that peace hasn't left me. St. Dominic's ER 7. We were there by 5:30. Basically at 11:30, they took some tests. When they did a simple x-ray of my lungs, I heard him say to Gail, looking at this picture, he showed us white holes everywhere in the lungs. He says, your husband's in trouble. Straight into the ward. We suspect he's got viral pneumonia. It's a virus that's caused all this. And he's in quarantine. The next morning when the test came back, they said, no, take the masks off. He's in danger. He can't infect us. So Tuesday morning, entered Dr. Sear, the good doctor, as I like to call him. And if you watch people's faces, I looked at his, if I looked at his face, it told me a story. And he just said to me, you're in trouble, but we're going to do what we can. He put his stethoscope on my lungs, and it was wheezing like you can't believe. He said, straight into ICU now. And that afternoon, I met the kidney lady, Dr. Sabella, and the test started. A myriad of tests, a kidney biopsy, CT scan, 5 plasma exchanges, a blood transfusion, and lots of drawing blood. Anyway, they said to me, the first thing tomorrow morning, we're going to stick a needle in each lung, we've got to drain your lungs. Tuesday afternoon, my brother Keith and Maria arrived. Now, please pay attention. I'm cutting it down. The story was, I think she said Isaiah, Keith, I can't remember all the details. But the story was, Lester, you're in a battle, you're in it. You can't avoid it. And we can all pray and encourage, but you alone, and you've got to go and face this thing. But God is going to go with you. He's going to fight with you. And there is going to be a victory, and there is life after the battle. And He's got something still for you to do. And you've always asked for some time, and He's going to give it to you. So I grabbed that. Keith confirmed it, so I grabbed that. Wednesday morning, the next morning, entered the two doctors, puts his stethoscope, they do a last check, says, breathe. Now his face is confused. There's no gurgling. Dr. Sabella puts her stethoscope. 2 other doctors came. They're confused because we don't have to put a needle in because first miracle. So I just started thanking God. Wednesday afternoon, she said, well, I've now booked you in for your biopsy. God provided. It's like He sent the people. The ambulance driver, the anaesthetist, they were just nice. It was, it was just, they made it so comfortable. Woke up from the biopsy, which took about 17 minutes, didn't feel a thing. Gail arrived, and my nephew, my sister's son, popped in, and he just said, Uncle Lester, I heard the story, and I'm shocked, and I've been praying for you, and I just, on the way home, felt I need to come and share a word with you. Basically the same thing. You're in a battle, God's going to walk you through it, and there's stuff for you after the battle, and you've got time. I grabbed that. But then I shared with him, because I've noticed I just can't stop sharing the goodness of God. And I'm not going to if I can help it. Anyway, he phoned Gail about half an hour later. She told me and said on the way home, he wept because he expected to see me there broken. And he said, in your room was this just presence, warmth. He said, I could feel God there with you. It's touched his life, the most powerful thing he's seen in his short Christian life. Thursday was a rest day. But Gavin and Christy came that afternoon. Especially, we want to come and give you a word. Well, you already know what they told me, that you're in a battle. It was the same word 4 times in a row. Friday morning wasn't a good morning. Enter the catheter for dialysis. And they still showed me how long it is. It either goes here or your groin. I should have maybe thought it through. I said, go groin. There's already catheters and pipes. So they did. That was... I didn't know what was going on. They knocked me out, obviously. They can't give me an anesthetic, but they sedate you. I didn't know where I was. Anyway, I woke up. Now I'm full of pipes. It works quite well. They bring a machine, they connect up, and they do a 4-hour, they transplant, they give you fresh plasma. The only unfortunate thing with that is it's very risky because it depletes your calcium. When your calcium depletes, you go into shock. 4 hours, 20 minutes, 10 minutes to go. Calcium depleted. Gail was still there. It was still visiting time. And I saw on their faces, white, big eyes. But we lived. We survived. Saturday was a rest day. Gail came. She still came. It was the 10th of April. And I just said to Gail, Shane Farrow I know so well. I said, please ask Farrow to come tomorrow. I want to pray some specifics because I've been listening to what they say. come Sunday morning, second plasma, smooth, no problems. Shane walks in, never mind the pleasantry. She comes walking with a smile, sits on the chair next to me. Lester, I've come specially here. God said I must come tell you something. And he said I must use your two of your favorite scriptures from the Old Testament. She tells me first of all about Daniel. She says, if he avoided the lion's den, God helped him out, he would have had a good testimony. But he spent the night in the den. You know the story, the lions. He now had a powerful testimony that impacted a kingdom. And she says, God for you from here on out wants you to speak power. Then she said to me, now your favorite scripture, David and Goliath. And you know the story, so I won't go into it. She says, but God has chosen the 5 stones for you. The first one is covenant. We broke bread. The second one is faith. She says, from now on, your faith will be faith. You won't fear a thing. Because I had, sometimes you doubt. And it's absolutely true. And then the other 3 are works, miracles, and wonders. You're going to see them in your life, in the lives of others. And I held on to that. And that was 5 times the same word. Tuesday's plasma went well. Thursday's one went well. But then the Friday's one, the last one, was the worst. Because they, as they do it, every hour they check calcium, so you're drawing blood all the time, and the levels were fine. And they were on their last bag of plasma, and something went wrong. So my legs started shaking. There was nothing I could do. And with the shaking, it pinched my sciatic nerve. That was the only pain I ever felt, the whole thing. And my hands were blue, and I heard them say, check his mouth. And, no, he's fine. They did an ECG. They did a lot of stuff. When Gail got there for the visiting, she said, you look like you've just been washed up off the beach. So that wasn't great, but here I am. Anyway, the next morning, I wanted to read Psalm 23, the valley. I've been between in the first 40 Psalms ever since. And I read it there, and this is what it says. Though the enemy, Psalm 27, David's talking, and he's quite a character when you get to look at this. The enemy has come against me. He's got me. He wants to vanquish me. And lest he eat my flesh, he says to God. And when I read that, I thought, but that's what's happening to me. Lest he eats my flesh, I cry out to you. And God's answer to David is, I will save you. I have thwarted him. I will destroy him. And I will give you, my son, the desire of your heart, to come into my presence, to live in my pavilion, and to be my son. When I read that, that was like the folder that I put those 5 words in. Ron came the next day and gave me possibly something very similar out of Philippians. So those words I held on to. I know there was something else that they needed to do, and I can't think what it was. It wasn't necessary. So I think I'm still good on time. By the time it was, Jen and the girls had arrived, and they were leaving on the Sunday. And all I wanted to do is I said to Gail and them, I've told my 2 granddaughters I'm having tea and cake with them because we share a birthday. And I had mine in ICU. The superintendent, I don't know if I should tell you this, was so nice. He said to me, I can't get you out the bed to go there, but I'm going to close your ward for 15 minutes. I'm going to tell them it's a family matter. How old are they? I said, they're turning 6. He says, well, they're underage. But he brought them in, and I had my time. And on the Saturday morning, I had tea and cake inside. I mean, the story is the goodness of God. It's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And then obviously I was discharged on the Thursday from ICU. The last thing they had to do, which I think we left too late, was remove this catheter. He said normally 10 minutes pressure turned into 45. And then this huge plaster anyway, that's all behind me. So as I stand here this morning, I can say that this medical report, it's fact. It's medical fact. It's not a lie. Do I accept it into my life? Do I let it govern my life? I say no, and I go, yeah. I've every morning as I get up, I sort of wake up 4 o'clock, and I just start. I can't stop. Just the goodness of God. I just talk. If no one listens, I talk to myself. And as I'm reading it, there's a scripture every morning, and one of the recent ones was, I've taken your life out of the enemy's hands, I've vanquished him and your life's in my hands. Just confirmation after confirmation. Thursday, when she phoned me, I had blood tests now recently, and the two main things were the hemoglobin, which, as Priscilla knows, I was down to 7, which is dangerous, and it's got to be 11. And I prayed for that, and I even read scriptures in the Psalms talking about contaminating and spilling your blood, and that came back as just over 10. So we're nearly there. The other one, the creatinine in the blood, 6 weeks ago was 90. It was normal. The night I landed in hospital, it was 180. The next morning, it was 220. And Thursday's one was 290. So the medical report is telling me you're halfway to dialysis, but the truth is telling me I've got you. So I said to the Lord, I'll listen and I'll only say what you tell me to say, and I think I've said what he wanted me to say. But just, I want to add one more thing. I was sitting talking to a friend, a brother of ours, who's also going through a medical challenge. Not good news, but he's fine. And the ladies went for a walk with Gail, and him and I sat and chatted. My phone rang, and she phoned me, and he heard her give me the news, the good and the bad, with the kidneys. So I just said to him, excuse me, got onto my phone, boom, prayer group. I think I phoned Grant, and then I said, this is a specifically pray. And then he said to me, I don't know how you stay so calm. You just asked the guys to pray. I said, I've got a peace that surpasses understanding. Put my phone on the table. 3 minutes later, Kevin Paul Lyons phones me. 3 minutes later, says the group of men in Durban. Kevin, I haven't seen Paul. I've seen him twice in 30 years. We were at primary school together. Says, we've been praying for you nonstop for 2 weeks. And I felt to phone you. I said, well, you couldn't have timed it better. He prayed for it. And then the guy that I was sitting with, he just said, God's looking after you. But it's speaking into their life. So my prayer all the time is, Lord, as you work in my life, let it just flow. Because this morning what I have to do is, never mind me, I've got to point to you all the time. Because without him, I know that, it would have been a different story. The last thing was the Friday morning, suddenly my legs were twice the size. The first day at home. And then Jenna, my mom and Gail, it's probably, water in the tissues, but deep vein thrombosis is not a joke. So I phoned Dr. Sabella. She asked me a few questions. She said, come in anyway. Went in, did the thing, they did their sonar. Obviously that ugly plaster had to come off, which wasn't funny, but the report was your veins are good. They respond. You've got no clots. It's just water, and walk as much as you can, feet up. That is now gone. So basically, I'm contending with the kidney issue, which I really believe. This report is going to my insurance for my policy, which this is the one I'm living by. And I want to ask you maybe I just want to thank the Lord because I'm surprised I haven't wept. He's just, it's like I'm a new person. I learned one thing, and I think I'm going to end with this, that sometimes our finances get attacked, sometimes our marriages, sometimes, like in my case, my body, and I'm in a precarious place, but He's with me. But I realized one thing: if I was standing here today and my prayer life was dull, and my love for the Word wasn't there, and I was maybe once a week having a look, what God showed me was your lips service is fine, but it's your heart. And if my heart wasn't longing for His presence, I'd be in a far more dangerous place than what I'm standing in now. Can we just give Jesus a hand?